Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. Tonight, you will be joining Rotting Ricky and Asylum Amy as they play host to some of the true movers and shakers in the indie horror scene. So lock your doors, check under the bed, and get comfortable, because here we go.
And I'm Sylvia Saska, and we're the Saska Sisters, and this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Good evening, Junkies. How's it going, Rotting Ricky?
It's going well, Asylum Amy, and you?
Good. We're on episode 80, you guys, of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. So welcome to Wednesday night with us. We have a very special guest tonight, Kody Newton, writer, director, cinematographer, actor. He has a lot going on, and we're going to get into that here shortly, because first we have our Indie Horror Junkie news, and there's lots going on there. So let's just dive into it. Rotting Ricky, what do you say?
Let's do it.
We've got our Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest submissions open. That's going to be held next year at MegaCon 2026. That's going to be happening in March. And we also have the ScareCon Film Festival submissions open, which is at ScareCon in Syracuse, New York, this September 5 through 7th. So make sure you head over to filmfreeway.com and submit your short films, your feature films. Keep an eye on socials tomorrow for ScareCon on Facebook and Instagram pages, because we are offering $10 off. We have a special code that we're pushing. So there you go right there, Scare 2025. Because prices have gone up. They'll continue to go up until we get to the film festival. So if you want $10 off, it's going to be Thursday and Friday. Hop on that and make sure you head over to scarecon.com to book your trip to the event and to book your hotel as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of familiar faces there. They've already started making their announcements for guests. So hop on socials, check out who's going to be there. We're just getting started. Daniel Roebuck, Dave Sheridan, Felissa Rose, and we want to see you guys. So come hang out with the Junkies. We also have issue number 15 available on our website, indiehorrorjunkie.com. There you go. We have the beautiful and talented Amy Schumacher of Screamboat holding up our 2-year anniversary of the magazine. So she also is featured in the center of our magazine with just a great article of all our contributions to indie horror. So we love Amy. She's phenomenal. And they just had a great weekend in theaters, you guys. So Rick was in Tampa. I was in Orlando. We had a huge show out. So congratulations to Screamboat, and grab your magazines. What else we got? We have New Jersey Horror Con coming up in May. So you're going to see me out there with my friends. I'm going to have magazines and posters and Blu-rays. So if you're in the area or you want to fly in, that's going to be May 17th and 18th. Show up and show out, because we're going to have just tons of friends out there. Again, we have some of the people from Screamboat. People from Stream are going to be there, Fuzz on the Lens. So all of our good friends in indie horror, plus just a ton of other guys. So definitely come hang out. We have the clock available on Blu-ray, also streaming on multiple platforms. And we have our clock tarot cards, which just dropped, I think, a week ago. So if you download the tarot card app, you can check out all things the clock and trading cards there. But, enough with the news. Let's hang out with Kody Newton, you guys. We're going to first show his trailer for The Death of Snow White before we bring him on. We actually featured this really cool film back on issue number 11. Look at this throwback. So excited for this to come out. You guys are going to love the trailer. Love what they did with this. Their touch of horror. It's cinematic. It's beautiful. Let's check it out, and let's bring out Kody.
Alrighty.
Mirror hanging on the wall. I am the fairest of them all.
Oh yes, you are fair, it is true. But we both know Snow White is more beautiful than you.
What are the huntsmen doing out here?
She will not survive the Dark Forest alone, and we cannot risk sending my men out.
Find her now!
We captured her, Michael, but we were ambushed.
You mean she got away?
Protecting her.
The dwarves? Have they all gone mad?
They do appear to be quite mad.
Take this.
Snow White! Snow White!
Now take her heart from her chest. And then...
I shall have it all.
Disney's got to be pissed after seeing that.
Yeah, I think they have other issues. I don't think they're worried too
Yeah.
much about us because they will never make a movie like that.
Oh man. Like I said, it's so cinematic. Hey Mary, I cannot wait to see this. I feel like we've been anticipating this coming out. So it's really exciting that it's going to be this year, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it should be April 18th in select theaters. And then as
Wow.
demand is created across the nation, hopefully we get out to even more.
That's the goal. Definitely let us know where we can get those tickets. And Rick and I can do the same thing we did for Screamboat, round some people up and hit the theaters and try to get
Oh
it
yeah,
sold
that'd
out.
be amazing.
That's what indie horror is all about. But yeah, welcome to the show, Kody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot to talk about: the death of Snow White, The Boy from Below,
Yeah.
newest short film that you wrote, directed, and produced at 259. Plus, we have Tempest and A Hard Place. But let's just go ahead and start off with the death of Snow White, since we just saw that amazing trailer. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I mean, it kind of started when there was a lot of talk about Snow White last year. You know, it was before it was even made. They didn't have LP actors in it, and I think it was called Snow White and the Seven Magical Creatures or something like that. But long story short, we had just made my feature film 259, and we just came off of shooting that, and it starred Sanaya Lutzis, who is Snow White in our movie. And her dad texted me and Jason Brooks, who directed the movie, and he said, "Hey, we're thinking of doing a Snow White. What are you guys thinking about doing a horror version of Snow White?" And all of us just lit up. And we have all these plans. We have all these movies we're gonna make. We want to make our own original slashers and stuff like that. But it just seemed like the timing was just too perfect to pass that up. So Jason Brooks, in particular, he dropped everything, and he got working on the script with Naomi, who co-wrote it with him, and I helped insert a lot of ideas, and I was there for every revision, and we came up with a crazy story that needed some money because it's a period piece. Hey, we need to go shoot in some castles, and we need to go have all kinds of costumes, and I mean, the kill count in this thing is just enormous. Plus, we wanted to work with LP actors, or little people actors, and hiring them and finding them the right people to do it, because we want them to do their own stunts. We wanted them to be murderous dwarves. So everything started to add up, and we essentially had to stretch ourselves as much as we could and just try and find the right people for the right price to pull that off. Because as you can see in the trailer, I mean, that looks like it's worth a lot more than what we actually paid for it.
It's so cinematic. And I remember watching, the process on socials when you guys were posting BTS, and we had Peter Anthony on the show before, and we talked about a lot of this film, and we did an article. And I remember seeing, like, you guys were building sets.
Yeah, and that's
Huge
Sean
cut.
Lutz. Sean Lutz is the secret behind that, right? He has a construction company in Seattle. He
Wow.
does a lot of corporate construction. So he got his team, and I think it was like in 2 weeks, but they knocked out like a 3,600 square foot interior castle that we got to shoot in. And being a horror movie, you want to be able to just spray blood everywhere. So I'm so glad that we were able to use that to its fullest. And I mean, I'm sure it still has not been cleaned up, but it's probably drenched with blood at this point.
That's so cool. You could tell what they were built, like building was huge. It looked like the castle, but that's just phenomenal. What a great way to bring in the resources and get it done.
Yeah. And that's the only way that this movie existed is we had to find things that we could work with, and we knew like Renaissance Fair people. We had a bunch of like the Seattle Knights came in and did like battle stuff. They already had costumes, they had horses, as you can see in the trailer, and so we got to use a bunch of those resources that we already had in place and just get excited people to make this movie, and then you're going to see it on screen. We had a lot of fun making it, and it's going to be a lot of fun for people to watch too.
And you guys just had your big premiere. How did that go? Everybody
We did.
amazing, and it looked like so much fun.
Well, here's the thing. When you're editing the film and trying to finish it, you are just listening or watching for every little problem. And so it happens. I mean, Jason was watching it twice a day. I was watching it every 2 days. And so I would send notes and so it was finally got done. And watching it in the theater was like watching it for the first time again. It was so fun. It was a packed house. And I mean, honestly, I don't think people were prepared for the evil queen to be how she was, because she's very different than what you've seen before. She installs some of those older like beauty practices that they used to use in the medieval times and things like that. But she she doesn't have any bounds because she has so much power. And so that's what's interesting about her is she is essentially mutilating herself and other people in vain of beauty. And you've never really seen that from the evil queen before.
I
But
like that.
I mean, when the dwarves get on screen, I mean, people are cheering. They love the killer dwarves, as we call them.
Have the
And
dwarves gone mad?
oh, they seem to be quite mad. And it was that, to me, is where the real magic comes together, because you work so hard on this film and you never really know how it's going to be received. But we had I believe his name's Steven Johnson. He created like Slimer in the Ghostbusters. He's a big special effects guy, but he was there in the crowd, and afterwards he had told Jason, the director, he said, that theater felt like we were in the 80s again, where people
Come
could just
on.
enjoy and just see it up there. Because I mean, technically, our blueprint is the 80s films, because we don't want to do all kinds of VFX. We can't afford VFX. And honestly, that was the problem with the Disney one, was it seemed like AI had created it, especially the little people they didn't hire. And so we wanted them on full display, them doing their own stunts and them getting bloody and disgusting and just having fun doing it.
I love all of that. Rick and I are huge 80s horror lovers, and we love practical special effects.
Yeah.
And we love being as authentic as we can when we're telling the story. So it sounds like you just kind of checked all those boxes. And I really like that you were able to walk into that theater. It sounds like you were allowed yourself to watch the film objectively and just enjoy it. So sometimes that's hard to do when you're so close to it. But I'm glad that you're able to do that. We can't wait to see this. So just let us know when it's hitting theaters. Make sure you tag us so we can reshare it, in your story.
Sure.
Make sure you're hitting us up so we can just spread the news on that. You have a lot of great films coming up. You want to jump into The Boy from Below?
I was going to say, I have some pics of Snow White first, if you want to show that.
Oh, yeah. Let's go through some of these things.
These pictures, I love these pictures.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're shooting out in the forest, you have to be able to see things. And so most of the time I lit it with one light, because I like the darkness. I like the black. And when she's in the haunted forest, it's supposed to be scary. So you can kind of see it just has a majestic quality to it, where it's just, there might be things moving back there. And there, honestly, in the movie, there's things that are moving behind them that they are not seeing. So it's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're always watching playback because I'm always happy to show because I get to experience it firsthand. But I love sharing with everyone else. I'm sure they were happy with whatever they're doing. But most of the time, I was shooting on that rig right there,
Very cool.
so I was getting buff. And these are the funnest parts. We we got an extra half a day to shoot some of the dwarves action scenes in the forest. So I mean, we were shooting slow mo. We were shooting all kind of stuff. We were shooting black goo at them. They were doing cartwheels. They were like killing all kinds of stuff.
And the
So,
wardrobe is so great.
oh yeah, the costumes are amazing. And actually, Jason and Naomi took care of all of those, which says a lot about them.
All right, let's get to the next picture here. Oh, 1 second. Come on now. There we go.
Oh well,
Ooh, gosh.
you'll see. I wear Jordans on set. I'm known for my my nice shoes, but sometimes I risk myself for this shot. And this shot did make the movie, so that makes me happy.
Nice.
Risk.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I tell everyone this was my favorite set I've ever been on, and I've been on a lot of sets, and this is the reason. It felt like it was something more than just a movie. It felt more than just a horror movie. It felt like it was a statement because we got to work with LP actors, and you just don't get to see them very often in movies. And they were so much fun to work with, and they put everything they had into it. And I honestly, I want to put them into every movie I have, just because they have so much fun and so much personality. And that shirt right there is from the Boy from Below, my bisexual lighting shirt.
Oh, that's right. There
Oh,
you go. There you go.
very cool.
I love that. I love those photos.
Yep.
Love everything about this film. Can't wait to finally
Cannot
dig
wait to
into
do
it
it.
here soon. But yeah, speaking of Boy from Below, that's where Kody and I met. It's been a year now. Last March, had the
Yeah.
privilege of working with you out in Kentucky. We were in Danville, honey.
Mhm.
Talking about the middle.
I don't know where in Kentucky we were. Yeah.
I don't know either. I just know that once you get there, there's no getting back. You cannot call an Uber. You cannot call a Lyft. You're stuck there. I remember, I think I stopped filming with you. My last scene, it was around midnight, and I was like, "Who's taking me to the airport?" Because there's no one coming to save you. You are in the middle of nowhere. It was very interesting. But we had this. Okay, so this film, by the way, you guys, is written by and directed by Tori Jones with Jonestown Pictures, and Kody was the DP on that, and you were so much fun to work with. But we had this Airbnb kind of out in the middle of the country that was staged for some of the main characters, their home, the original home for Marilyn Lee Miller, the mother of the boy from Below. So no spoilers, but that's a film that you were a huge part of that will also be coming out this year. So what was your experience working on that in the cold?
It wasn't as cold as the one I did before that, because we shot in February in Ohio, and it was like 4 degrees one night. Man, that was really hard. But the Boy from Below turned out to be, I mean, I watched a rough cut of it, and it's I'm very proud of it, because it's kind of an accumulation of everything I've done before this, and I feel like I finally learned how to shoot a slasher movie. I've done some I think I've done 3 Friday the 13th fan films, and so I've worked with a lot of the people from Friday the 13th, which is a lot of fun. But in general, I knew the Boy from Below is very similar to Jason, but in his own way. It's like Scream meets Jason. And so even just having that old 90s feel, because it's set in the 90s, really spoke to me as a cinematographer, to be able to ground it in that timepiece. But at the same time, movies nowadays kind of, especially like Netflix, it looks a little mushy. Like it's not a big difference. Like your highlights your blacks aren't black. And so I was really excited to shoot it in a way like they would shoot it in the 90s. And that's kind of what it came out. Your section is a little bit different, because it's supposed to be a little bit older than that, because it's a flashback.
70s, yeah. My stuff was filmed 70s, but and a great cast, like such a fun cast, such a great group of people. I really enjoyed my time on set, just the way that it was ran and everyone's attitude, and everything just flowed and everybody knew what they wanted and needed to do, and it seemed to just move along. It was a really great experience. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time working with Tori, and I flew from Tampa to Kentucky. It was like,
Yeah,
okay,
neither did I.
here we go. And I just had the best time. Actually, I have to give a shout out to American Horrorplex. This was one of the locations that we got to shoot at. It's a haunted house. So one of the short films that Marilyn Lee Miller got. I don't know why I keep getting stuck on that tonight. That she filmed in. This was the location. So shout out to them. Shout out to Tori, and shout out from everybody from The Boy from Below. Just such a fun experience, and that will also be out later this year, you guys. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I don't know the release date exactly, but I did hear from Tori last night, and he just kept on thanking me because he's never had a movie where he really didn't have any issues with, and this is the one he's so excited to release, and hopefully we get a release date and a trailer here soon, because that one I'm pretty proud of, and I'll shout that one across the rooftop. So like, hey, if you need a cinematographer to shoot your slasher movie, look what we can do.
There you go. We're going to be getting a nice little shout out in issue number 16 of Indie Horror Junkie magazine. So no spoilers there, but we do have a nice piece coming up on Kody. And we did have The Boy from Below. That was a few issues back. Jack Norman, who plays the boy, my beloved son.
Oh yeah.
But this is just a cool story because this is a story that's kind of come a long way. Tori started this a while back, and now he's able to do it with really the way that he wanted to do it, with a budget that was much bigger than he ever could have imagined. So he kind of just took this idea and took this story and launched it. So, proud of him, excited. That's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys will get a trailer for that soon. You have The Hard Place, Tempest. Are all these films that you shot last year?
Yeah, I shot those 3 right in a row. So I went to shoot Hard Place in Ohio, and I think that one comes out May 24th or 26th on streaming. But that's a creature feature, and that one, I mean, it's kind of in the vein of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It just has so much stuff going on. It's about plant creatures versus like reptile creatures, but one exists during the day, one exists during the night, and there's an eclipse. So there's a big war and stuff like that. And it was, we shot that in 10 days on a farm in Ohio. One day it's snowing like crazy. The other day it's just mud everywhere. Another day it's raining. But man, it was a blast to make. And it's a super fun, campy movie. And I'm sure a lot of your readers will enjoy it.
What you clicking on, Rick, over there? I see a clicking. Here we go. Tarot card. Nice. The Hard Place is another one on the watch list. Yeah, no, it's been circulating on socials for a while. I heard about it even before I met you. So very interesting there. And tell us a little bit about Tempest.
So Tempest is not a horror movie. I actually went to Mississippi right after that. It's a sci-fi movie, kind of a drama one, kind of in the vein of like, I don't know, Big. It has some supernatural things, but it's about a woman who goes to a different multiverse on accident and cheats on her husband with her husband from another multiverse. So, but it turns out she's actually switching with the other one. So, the number 2 is coming to world number 1 and not knowing what's going on. And she keeps on going back to sleep with her husband over there.
So this is funny. Does this hit streaming yet?
It hasn't hit streaming yet, and I have watched a version of that one too. And that one's a more heartfelt movie. It's a beautiful film, and I'm very proud of that one. Although it is definitely not in the horror vein at all.
One of the questions from Tarot Cards is: are you working on that movie Apex Predators? Is that something you're involved in?
I worked with Jason Horton before, but they have a DP lined up for it right now. Okay. Michael Sue, he shoots all their stuff. If he cannot do it, then I will be doing it.
Ooh,
cool.
So,
now
we'll see.
I want to get into 259.
259.
I
yes.
only
okay.
don't really know much about this film. I've looked up the actors, I know what I know based off of the information that you sent us, but this poster, you guys, is so intriguing to me. The first time I saw, there's another one. I don't know if you have the original one, but
I'll get the original one.
yeah. It's just, let's get into this. Let's get into the premise. Let's talk about this as much as we can without giving anything away, because it's a horror adventure and it just seems like something that I haven't really seen. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, let's see if we get the other poster. Is it the one where he's upside down?
I'm not sure. I will look it up real quick here and see if I can find it.
All right. We'll let him find it. Anyway, 259 is a movie that I wrote and directed. We made a short in 2019. It was it starred my son, and it was just about a kid who was being haunted every night at 259. And it's just, 3 jump sequences with a demon and stuff like that. So that was kind of my first introduction to horror films, like making them on my own. I'm kind of a horror convert. I did not, when I went and worked on those Jason fan films, I had to go watch the Jason movies. And so
welcome to the fan. Welcome to the family.
And I'm playing catch up quite a bit on the old 80s stuff. Every time I drive through Nebraska, I watch a classic horror. So I mentioned Killer Clowns from Outer Space because that's the last one I watched through there, and I freaking loved it. Before that, I watched Hellraiser for the first time and loved that one. So, but I'm kind of studying horror as I go because I get to shoot it. But this was the first time I ever dove into it, like writing it and directing myself. So with this short film, and you can see it on YouTube, it's just called 259, the short film. It's pretty basic. It's only 10 minutes, but apparently the guy who shot that movie for me, his name's Ryan Race. He was the DP on my short 259, and he helped me write the story.
No, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, and if you have that picture of Ryan, you can show him.
Is that the one?
Hey, there's the poster. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, when you see it in the film, I wanted to explore a lot of the, I don't know, the Christianity, the ways of actually fighting a demon. And to me, that's the adventure of it. But, and this is part of the story with Ryan. He helped me shoot Friday the 13th Roseblood up in Seattle with Peter Anthony. And I mean, that was 8 days straight. And so this was our first time to wind down, and we drove back about 9 hours to Boise, Idaho. And he started to tell me the real story about 259, technically. And he used to live in Portland, and it was in 2009 when this stuff happened. But he had a neighbor who weird stuff was happening to him, and it was hard to explain what was going on, but he kind of assumed it was some kind of a possession type of thing. But Ryan, who doesn't belong to any church, and he doesn't know exactly what he believes, but he was faced with so many weird things that happened. So some of these things happened in 259, but I'll just give you a few of the things. They became friends with these neighbors, and one time the wife came over and said, "Hey, he's gone. I don't know where he's at." And they looked out the window, and he was just standing outside in the snow without any shoes on. And Ryan goes out there. He goes to try and help him, and we're going to call him Jose because I'm not going to reveal his name. His name's Jose in the movie. But yeah, he's just dazed. He's out of it, and he didn't know what was going on. And so Ryan started to try to bring him in because he was out freezing, and he starts to puke up just black goo, which Ryan has never seen before. And he puked it up into a grate, and he remembered it was a lot more than anybody could hold in their stomach. And after that happened, he stopped and he fell down, and a second later he was going, "What am I doing out here? It's freezing." And he started to shiver. And so Ryan started to experience some of this stuff. And he was telling me about this stuff as we were driving home from Seattle. and I started to have just the weirdest, hairs in the back of my neck feeling when he was telling me the story. And there was probably 6 or 7 occurrences when weird stuff like this happened that Ryan could not explain. And that was so fascinating to me. The idea that, or even just the question, what do you believe in when you're forced to believe in something, right? And there's almost like a magic to like demons and the otherworldliness, especially when you have to like deal with it yourself. And so it was very interesting to see how Ryan justified some of these things in his head or or whatnot. I mean, literally there was a time when he had his phone out and he was recording Jose, who was in a trance. Something was happening to him. And the stuff usually happened around 2:59 in the morning. So that's why it's called 2:59.
Hmm.
It's the minute before witching hour.
Mm.
And we kind of interpret that as that's when the gates open, and so there's a minute for whatever's coming to get here. So that's kind of the basis behind that. But there, he had his phone out, and he could actually see scratch marks being formed on his back without him touching anything. And I've seen some of this stuff, on Inside Edition, and this is the stuff that actually scares me. Like Friday the
Yeah.
13th is not going to scare me. None of that stuff. It really doesn't matter. But he was telling me some of these stories, and I was like, oh my. I was starting to get some anxiety. I thought, we're driving down this road. We're going to like hit a deer or something like that. I feel like something bad is going to happen. And then on top of that anxiety, the GPS, which is just always on to tell us where to go, it starts zooming in and out. And it goes rerouting. And I just started to freak out a little bit. It just had like a dark spirit, as he told me. He could feel it, I could feel it, and we ended up actually hitting a deer carcass on the road that just freaked us out.
What?
Wow.
So we had to stop. We stopped and we went to the bathroom, and I took a second, and I tried to gather my thoughts. And when we went back to the car, I said, "Hey Ryan, there's 2 things I got to tell you, man. First of all, this would make a great movie. Like, just the things that you're explaining to me are actually seemingly very cinematic, and I can see how they would work in a story." And then the second thing I told him is, I said, "I think that we should pray." So, awkwardly, me and another man in the car, we just said a prayer, and somehow our spirits were lifted. And that, I don't know if that's mental or whatever, but somehow it felt like, okay, you can keep telling me the story because we're going to be okay. But I tell you that because I thought it was fascinating, because even as we're facing just the thought of, okay, what could it actually be? Or just fighting a demon, fighting someone who's possessed, how would you go about that? I have my own ways. He would have his own ways. He was talking about buying crystals and, getting a Reiki form, performed on him, and all kinds of stuff like that. And that's really what drew me to writing the story of 259 was I put in the kid characters, which are the 3 teens that you'll see in the poster. But one's a believer, one is a witch, and one is a Christian. And they're all trying to get rid of a demon together. And that's really what drew me to making this movie 259, the horror adventure movie.
Very cool.
Holy cow. I'm so involved. And like, I would have been freaking out too in the car because you're isolated. And to hear firsthand somebody experience something so like outer worldly, and it's somebody that you can trust is not lying, and to just for them to even have the ability to open it up and share with you in particular. I doubt that's something that he goes around, sharing with everybody. He felt comfortable with you during that time to share it. And maybe it was meant for you to write this,
Well, maybe it was a non-divine intervention. Who knows? Yeah, but he hadn't really told the whole story to anybody. And he actually then I talked to his girlfriend at the time, and I talked to the person who performed the Reiki and things like that. So I got more witnesses on this story, and it was, but to me, the story isn't the actual possession of the person. It is, how does one deal with being forced to believe in something?
That's an
Yeah.
interesting angle.
And
My
that's what
mind's spinning
259
right
is.
As I say, we've got a bunch of pictures, and we even have an exclusive clip whenever you guys want to show that real
Goodness.
quick.
So yeah, let's show the clip. Let me prep it a little bit. So
Yeah.
259, we wanted to make it kind of our own way. We didn't want to worry about Indiegogo or anything like that. First of all, I don't know Indiegogo very well, so I was a little worried to do that. So we were lucky enough to get an executive producer on this, and raise the funds that way. Sean Lutzis, who is the executive producer, and Sinai, Snow White's dad. And so the big thing was we had a big set piece. We had some actors we wanted to work with also. So you're not going to see him in the clip, but the movie stars Terry Kaiser from Friday the 13th Part 7 and Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. He's great in it. We have Kevin Caliber, who's in Future Man on Hulu. He's a lot of fun. He was in A Hard Place. He's in Craving and stuff like that. He is ripped. We'll just put it that way. He plays Ryan, who is the DP on it. We have Darcy DeMoss from Friday the 13th Part 6. I've worked with her before, and she is such a delight to work with, and you'll love her in this role. She plays Lady Moreau, who is a witch of all things, but she's expensive, so we'll just put it that way. We have, this is the one I'm really excited about, but John LeMay from Friday the 13th Part 9, or Jason Goes to Hell, is in this, and he has not acted in anything since 2014. So he actually lives in Boise,
Nice.
Idaho with me, and I worked with him on Hearts of Darkness, which is the documentary of Part 9 that they were doing. So got to meet him and just fell in love with him. He's so much fun, and he's fun in the movie. He's got great comedic timing. But the clip that you're going to see is our friend Richie Ramones, who is the drummer for the Ramones. And he's really gotten into horror. He's really gotten into acting. And he plays a demonologist or a medium in this movie. And they kind of have to use him in his space to try and get rid of this demon with Dust of the Witch. So the clip is the demon has attached to one of the main characters, which is my son. His name's Mason. Desta, who is the witch, is trying to get rid of it. And then Kaylee, who's the non-believer, played by Sinai Lutzis, is there to be able to help and just experience what is going on, because she has really no idea how to justify in her head any of this stuff that's happening. So go ahead and roll that clip.
All right, here we go.
What was it?
The demon, it's free, and it's angry. You have no place here, demon. You have no power over us. You have been cast out, you vile swine. I exile you! I exile you! You foul-smelling, unattractive, rotten, disgusting beast!
Is it gone?
I don't know. I'm not reading anything.
That means it's gone, right? I mean, you don't feel or sense anything?
Let's go.
Thanks. Let me help.
What's wrong? Is it my dad? Is he here? What's he saying?
Holding it back.
dad?
Yes.
Are there more?
So many more. I've never felt so many.
Is any of my family there?
Yes. And Estes too. They're all fighting for you. There's a way to destroy it. A staircase in the forest. It leads to nowhere. There you can send it back.
It's a staircase in Forest Park, 20 miles north of Lower Southman. Don't touch me.
Soren, please. I can destroy it.
Don't touch me. You need to go now. You don't have much time.
That's a don't!
Ooh. There you go. That's all you get.
That's all you get. I wanted to keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean that right there. There's a reason why that cliffhanger. That's because
I'm sure.
kind of in the vein of Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things. My kids love Stranger Things.
The score
But
was very Goonies, and I was
yeah,
enjoying that.
and that is the adventure. Like you'd never think that
Yes.
fighting a demon would be an adventure, and I think that's where this movie becomes its own thing. It doesn't necessarily want to be a horror movie. Yeah, there's some horrific things that are happening, dealing with demons and stuff like that. But you kind of see in the movie at the same time, they're believing in something else also, right? For as much bad as there is, there's good. So those are kind of the themes of the movie, and that staircase is something else. We built that in the back of Sean Lutz's house.
Holy
And
cow.
if you want to start showing some of those photos.
I just want to say really quick, you really nailed it with the casting, and that's your son?
Yeah, that's my son. I always imagined him as the character, and I've made several movies with him, so I know what he's capable of. I know he does lots of stunts. So like here, he's dangling 20 feet in the air over this huge staircase to nowhere. And I've never really seen people deal with these staircases before. Although I've seen them in like TikToks of how creepy they are. If you find them in the woods, don't go near them. So we wanted to use that.
Interesting. I think there's something about the age group that you chose to tell this story, because there's something about not being a child and not being, a grown adult that leaves you at that age very vulnerable, because you're still trying to find yourself and you don't
Mhm.
have the answers. And so to be exposed to something like this, I can see how that does become an adventure.
Yeah, and I mean, most of my movies kind of are in that vein. I'm still a kid. I like to think that I'm still growing up. So even as I wrote it, I got to think about how I would problem solve fighting a demon, and stuff like that. So I really like the age group. I think a lot of people gravitate towards that. I think we need more of the coming of age stories, as long as they're done right. And I feel like this one is, especially when they are dealing with what they actually believe, and putting their money where their mouth is in trying to get rid of this thing.
I think you're right. And this looks like one big happy family here.
Yeah, this is all the crew we had. Um, this is all the people that worked on this film in the Seattle. We had a few more in the Boise. So we shot half of it in Boise for 7 days, and then we shot 7 days in Seattle, where this was. So yeah, you don't need a lot of people if you all are on the same page and doing what they're doing.
There you go.
Oh, I love this picture. This is great.
Beautiful.
And I own all of my equipment. And so that's why most of the time when I'm going to shoot other people's movies, I just say, hey, just hire me and I'll just bring all my stuff with me. So, I mean, everything you see in The Death of Snow White, everything you see in this movie is all my equipment that I've gathered. And I became a cinematographer, honestly, because I wanted to make my movies better. And so I learned lenses, I learned camera movement, I learned emotion through the lens and stuff like that. And I love doing it for other people, but ultimately my favorite thing is to make my own movies and write my own stories. And you can kind of tell here, this is a dream come true for me to be able to, like, we have a 14-foot staircase to nowhere. We're shooting with my son. My son actually got paid enough on this that he bought like a 3000 GT car. he bought a sports car that he started drag racing and stuff like that. So we're all kind of tied to this indie film that's going to come out this summer is when it should come out. We want to do a limited theatrical, but we got to see what The Death of Snow White does first, because if we can say, hey, if you like The Death of Snow White, go watch this movie,
There you go.
that's what we want to do. I think it's a good marketing to just wait a little bit longer, but our big premiere should be here in May. And yeah, we did this stunt work that you just never find this on indie films. And we were lucky enough to find someone in Seattle who knew what they're doing. And then we had to rent these big 40-foot cranes to lift the people up. Yeah, that was one of the funnest days I've ever had.
And this staircase was also built by the executive producer's construction company. You guys had access to that. So cool.
Same team that did the castle. So yeah, this is the Richie scene. This happens before all that stuff where there's lots of levitation in this thing. I wanted to push ourselves as far as an indie film goes and see how much we could do.
And
But
so
man,
fun actors.
Oh yeah, and the acting, you'll be surprised with the kids. Just
I don't know. There's
because
a lot of really great young actors out there. They really understand the craft. They train and they're passionate about it. And they watch a lot of movies. They know how to turn it on.
Yeah, they do. And the good thing is I'd worked with them. I mean, I think I'd worked on each of them with like 3 or 4 features already. So I knew their strengths and I knew their weaknesses, and I kind of wrote those characters to those things. And then even on set, I understood. I mean, for example, there's a time when my son, it's like, hey, we kind of forgot, but there's kind of a crying scene here, because when the demon goes into him, he starts to hurt people that he loves. And it was a weird spot because it's like, oh, I forgot there's a crying scene. Okay, let's go through this. Let's prep for it. And he had practiced enough in prior movies that he knew how to trigger himself and get himself there. So that's kind of the example of working with them, is
Yes.
I knew exactly what they're capable of, and they really did bring it. So that is Ryan. That is the whole story is based on him, and he is. You'll see we have some funky lighting in this movie. This is bisexual lighting, but
Yeah, which I love.
Reason we have like fun lighting in the apartment in particular is because Ryan was a strip club DJ in Portland.
There you go.
And so he was out until 2, and then he'd get home right around, that 3 o'clock time. And so he was up then.
Sorry, I was gonna say that lighting is very it's very attractive in a lot of horror films, but really through all genres.
Oh yeah, and we did it in The Boy from Below a lot, just because it kind of has that 90s neon look. But I love it. In general, I shoot in a way that people aren't just going to experience in real life. Like, if it's not motivated, I really don't care. I mean, the music's not motivated, so it really doesn't matter to me. I just want it to look like something that people don't experience in real life. But Ryan actually shot this movie for me. He was the DP on it and had a lot of fun. It was kind of surreal for him because Terry Kaiser plays his dad, and Terry Kaiser has one of the best scenes in the whole movie. And every single take, Ryan would just tear up. He was crying behind the camera just because he was so close to it, and he's so excited to show it to his dad. But it all started with him, and I still make movies with him. He was on The Boy from Below. He came the day after you came.
Oh, bummer.
He had to take a day off.
I definitely don't remember him, but what was it like for him to be able to take this experience and translate it into film with you? Was that something that you feel like helped him?
Um, yes, for sure. I mean, it has become a little, our own like little creative baby that we've created together. If,
Yeah.
you know, for lack of better terms. And every time he watches it now, I mean, it hits those moments when he tears up, and he's pretty emotional about his life and just seeing that his life is interesting enough or impacts others enough that it's worth making a movie about. I think is pretty important to him. So,
Very cool. What else you got there, rickety doodah?
oh, there's my man.
There,
So
Terry.
Terry
Mhm.
Kaiser, he is. I do have to say it. I mean, he is the best actor that I've ever worked with. I worked with him on Friday the 13th Roseblood. I worked with him on Laugh, and I worked
Oh,
with him on this one. But the big thing that he did that I noticed is he helps other people act better also.
Mm.
But even when we were just in the elevator in the hospital going up the elevator, he would start the scene, and he'd make sure Sanaya was catching up with him. So he could perform his scene in no matter what situation he was in, and he brought so much to it. It almost sticks out like it's a different movie because it's so good. But he's
nice.
really good in this movie, and if we do a sequel, man, I will definitely grab him again because he is just a class act and so much fun to work with.
Very
Very
cool.
nice. I love
Oh
this.
wow, look at that sexy dude. That's my profile picture.
It's such a great shot though. Like you're in your element.
Yeah,
You're
and I love
filming.
that wave of smoke. And I do have to say, like in my movies, the fog master has a lot of work to be done. And on this one, it was Raimi Stoll, and she was running around like crazy with that fogger. And we don't have big industrial foggers that people control very well. We have these two little insect foggers that may work or may not work, but you'll see it in the movie. It makes a huge difference, and it really looks good because of her. But this picture, I love this picture too. It just that
Oh,
is me in my element right there.
there you go. Tells the whole story.
Oh boy.
So I don't like drones. I don't think drones like capture it the same. And so yeah, we did some of these huge over the head shots way up in the air. That I mean that it was really high, and then we just shoot with the cameras, and it just was so surreal being up there. Fog is awesome. It makes horror movies just so much more atmospheric. I love it.
Did you get a little shaky in the knees up there having to aim that camera down? Because I think
I'm
I would
shaking the knees just looking at the picture.
In general, I kind of live my life now where I'm like, well, if I die, I'm gone. I think I've lived a good enough life, so I don't worry too much about that stuff. But yeah, anytime anybody else was moving, I was not too comfortable.
I get like shaky and queasy up that high. There's this picture. I just love it.
Love
Uh,
that pic. That is a
yeah, I
great
love that
picture.
picture too. And that's the perfect representation of, what do you hold on to when you're forced to believe in something.
Mm.
And this character, he's a Christian, but he doesn't, he's using witchcraft. He's doing whatever he can to do it. But this one kind of is the moment when he he relies on what he knows,
Yeah,
and really believes it. So
love that shot.
Look
Look
at
at
the
that
fog in the
pop.
background. Mm-hmm.
there's Snow White herself.
Yep.
Yeah, and she has a fun arc in this movie too. I mean, to me, she's the center of the movie because it's what does the non-believer believe when they're when they're dealing with the possession? Like how
How do you
it's like
process?
yeah, is it just magic? I don't I don't know. I don't know how you process these things. In general, you just have to ignore it.
Hmm. Very cool though. And some of that fog in the background looks like.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the hard work right there. All the
Yep.
fog. We actually
There's-
shot that in February, so it was a pickup shot. So we had to hide all the leaves that weren't there.
Oh.
That's why we
They did
fogged
a
it.
good job. It looks so good. I'm
It
so
really
interested in, Brian's story and his experience, and I think bringing it to life, like who knows who else that's going to speak to. Obviously, these things do happen. I hope in a sense this was some kind of healing experience for him, being able to translate it through film with people that he knows and trusts and cares about. So it just sounds like an overall really amazing experience. You kind of got to, do your thing as the director and just really enjoy this moment in time with this film and with your son and with these people that you get to work with. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm really happy for you. This is exciting and we can't wait to promote it and watch it. So, keep us posted on everything to do with this project. You've been so busy. And I feel like all your projects will be like boom, 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 boom coming out. Like people are like, what have you been working on this and that? And like they don't know that you've been working so much. And then finally things just start to land and fall into place. And it's like, oh, you were working. So I feel like you're gonna have one of those years here pretty soon where it just all lays out in front of you. And then it kind of paves the way for the rest of your story to tell and the future projects that you'll be working on and the people that you're going to meet through all of this to work with down the road. It's just so cool, and that's how this happens.
Yeah, I have a question as for you as well with regard to this 259. I think you said that there's a short film, correct? And then there's the feature film. Is like one of them like a proof of concept or a standalone short film, or how does this actually work?
Yeah, it was just a standalone concept of it. This is before I heard the real story. And it's really just about a 12-year-old boy who's haunted every night at 259 by something and him going to school. It's kind of it's almost like a silent film, but we wanted to practice the art of, I call it horror craft, where, every moment that doesn't have sound or music to it builds tension. And so in general, it was just a way to practice that, have a good time. I mean, we shot it in a day and a half, which isn't too crazy. But that led us to be able to do other things. Yeah, and it did. It won some awards because my son, he did a great job. We had to shoot him progressing, as this demon is haunting him. And he understood the assignment. And he was, how old was he? Yeah, he was 13 years old when he shot it.
Cool. I love that. Cool. You guys can work together in that kind of aspect. And you said we can watch this on YouTube for everybody who wants to see it, correct?
Yep.
I'll be watching it tonight.
259 short film Kody Newton. That's all you got to look up.
All you got to know.
And I have a lot of other stuff on there, but it's not necessarily horror stuff. I do some other horror shorts. But most of the time, I live in that adventure space. I just love adventure and comedy. I love too.
I love how you describe this particular project, 259, somewhere between Harry Potter and The Conjuring.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have the three leads, all trying to do something. And, well, if the ring wraiths were demon, then that's essentially what it would be.
That's so cool. Well, we're definitely going to keep an eye on this. Please keep us posted with everything. We're going to be getting into a lot more details about this in issue number 16 of the magazine. So you guys keep an eye out on that. You can follow Kody on his socials. Go ahead and plug where everyone can find you and just keep up with all of your projects and all of these releases that are going to be coming out this year.
Yeah, most of the time you can just look up Newton to Newton Productions and you'll find me on Instagram and YouTube, or just look up Kody with a K, Newton. And you'll find me there. YouTube, it's Kody Newton. Instagram, it's Newton to Newton Productions. Facebook is always the best place to even contact me. But I can't wait for this to come out. I do think that people are really going to relate to the story of these three kids and what they have to deal with, and hopefully make a sequel. That would be a lot of fun, but we'd have to raise some money for it.
You're going to build that staircase again?
Well, it's still up. It's actually in the Death of Snow White. But yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. So you filmed both those in his backyard.
Yeah, that's where he built it. He just has a bunch of forest out there. Most of the movies we shot in that forest, it's the worst forest ever. There are thorns and like stinging nettles, and it is miserable. But you know what? We go back there and it's like home. Yeah. We get to make this movie.
Cool. Well, Kody, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was great catching up with you. Like I said, it's been a year. And then, you kind of we're like, hey, I've got this cool movie coming out, and we're so glad that you told us about it, because now we're excited and we want to help you spread the word about it. So thanks for coming on and sharing with us and everyone who's watching, and we can't wait to see it.
Well, thank you so much. I love your excitement. I love what you guys are doing for the indie film community. I mean, that is
Thank you.
honestly, it's going to save cinema. Like, cinema is dying right now, and we don't have original stories, and Hollywood doesn't know how to do original stories. But the people, the real fans of horror, I mean, you're seeing it. You're seeing it in Terrifier. You're seeing it in The Death of Snow White, in Screamboat, and all those different things. They
Yep.
are getting to do it, and I love that I am in the middle of all of it and making movies with people and making their dreams come true, and at the same time making audiences remember a time when it was more simple, when movies meant something and they, were cult classics. And so I'm really excited that I'm able to do that.
So
Awesome.
cool. Thank you for that. We feel like indie horror is the heart of filmmaking, and we've met so many incredible people through it. And like, that's the fight that we're all fighting together. And I think it's worth it. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of indie horror hitting the big screen, and hopefully some of yours as well. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. We're all in this together. But we're going to kick you backstage for a second. So hang tight. We're going to give you a proper goodbye as we say goodbye here. And yeah.
All right. Thanks again for joining us, Kody. We'll see you in a few minutes. Right.
Love you.
Take care. What a good guy. What a talented guy, too. And family.
He is. Yeah. And like I told you before the show, like, what a great experience I had working on set for The Boy from Below. Like, I just flew out there by myself and walked onto set and started, took a leap of faith working with these guys. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was just, a family environment. And I felt like, I felt protected. I felt like, I was in a safe place where I could, do my craft and just make a really fun movie. So he's got a lot of stuff coming out. You guys stay tuned. Keep in touch with him on his socials. We'll be back next week for episode 81. We're kind of railing towards 100 episodes here, Rick.
Yes, we are.
But you guys have a good night. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Later, Junkies.
Hey, guys.